Hello everyone, I am CrazyPizzaMan21, and thanks to all the really awesome comments I got on the last video, and the fact that Capcom simply cannot stop copying Shinji Mikami's homework, I am here with a part 2, going over all of the Evil Within references in Resident Evil Requiem. So let's just get right into it. Right off the bat, Leon's opening is a direct reference to the opening of the Evil Within. In both of these openings, you have the main protagonist getting out of the car, and the interesting thing about the cars is that both of them contain references to previous games. But not just any games, they are both references to Resident Evil games. As you can see, the car on the police cruiser in the Evil Within has a subtle nod to the STARS logo from Resident Evil 1. And the license plate, of course, in Resident Evil Requiem on Leon's Porsche is, of course, in reference to each numbered title that Leon has been in. It's also interesting to keep in mind that both of the protagonists in this situation are in the rain pulling up to a round driveway for a mental facility, a mental hospital, if you will. So, also very funny. In Grace's opening, there's another similar sequence in which both of the protagonists, Grace and Sebastian in this case, do wake up upside down, with blood being drawn from them, and they have to kind of swing themselves out to, you know, obviously escape. Skipping a little bit forward later into the game, there's a detailed document actually going over Spencer's plans going forward with his research. One of these plans involves the usage of transferring memories, or living in a subconscious to preserve memories. This is pretty much identical to the STEM program from the Evil Within. A key word to focus on here is the word transfer. What Spencer is essentially trying to do here is transferring memories from one person to another and their entire subconscious. This was Ruvik's entire plan in the Evil Within, was to transfer his consciousness into Leslie, who very interestingly enough bears a striking resemblance to Emily in Resident Evil Requiem, who is also an experiment being used in a care center in a mental hospital for this supposed memory transfer plan. So you could almost see the Evil Within now as a fruition of Spencer's ideals and plans, if they did actually work out. And it seems that Spencer might have been behind Ruvik in terms of research, because Ruvik obviously got the STEM program running. It's also important to note the context of where you find this note too is directly outside the room, which I did include in my previous video, which was the experimentation room, that the equipment is set up very similar to the STEM equipment from the Evil Within. So I find that very, very interesting. There is also a sequence with the elevator where you can see the girl monster, I think that's her name, is just the girl, attacks the elevator that Grace and Emily are currently trying to escape the care center from. And similar to that, you know, Laura in the Evil Within attacks the elevator as Sebastian is trying to escape as well. And there's even a similar sequence where both of their hands also get cut off in the elevator doors. And also, in the underbelly of the care center, before this elevator sequence, there are two interesting things. One is the meat grinder, which is very similar to the sequence in the Evil Within, where Sebastian has to shoot the button to deactivate the meat grinder trap. But then also there's a body bag puzzle as well that you have to solve in both the Evil Within and Resident Evil Requiem. Now, I appreciate you guys sticking with me, but I'm also going to level with you. The stuff from here on out in the video for the last minute is really just kind of light nods, maybe, or really light homages. They're not as in-depth as the other ones I mentioned in the first video and this one, but I thought they'd be fun to throw in because a lot of comments were asking for them. In both games, you also use a chainsaw to open one specific, oddly specific door, only once in the entire game. In both games as well, there is also a very similar currency system. In the Evil Within, it is the green gel. In Resident Evil Requiem, it is the blood samples that you take from the creatures, both of which involve you kneeling down to collect this goop off of the floor. But that is just about gonna cover all of the extra references that we found in the game. If you have any more, please let me know in the comments. Feel free to comment. If there are enough, I will try to throw them into a part 3. But so far, I'm really enjoying Resident Evil 9. There are obviously a lot of callbacks and similarities to the Evil Within, which, you know, you can kind of question what is just a homage and what is just blatantly ripping it off. But, you know, I like to think that Capcom at least has some integrity, so we're just gonna go with that it's an homage. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe for more. I make stuff like this all the time. And once again, thank you guys all for the support on the last video, and hopefully this one too. Catch you guys later.